Hi guys, it's Horsey Steph, and today we are going to react to a brand new horse movie. If you follow this channel, you already know that we were reacting to Black Beauty for quite a few weeks, and we finished Black Beauty earlier this week, so now we are moving on to reacting to a movie called Useless. It's a 2020 film about a girl who barrel races, that loses her mom, moves in with her aunt and uncle. This is kind of her journey. So let's go ahead and watch it together, see what happens. I'm excited to watch a movie about barrel racing because it's something a little bit different. I don't know a ton about it, and it's a pretty cool sport in the sense that you're doing something so simple, but it takes so much skill to do it well and to train a horse to really be successful in it. That being said, there are a lot of really bad barrel racing riders that really can't ride at all. So that's the downside of having a sport that's simple by nature. I mean, it's not complicated to get around a barrel course, but it is really cool that to be competitive, you need such skill, such well-trained horses. So I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about barrel racing, hopefully, and watch this movie with you. If you guys could go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos, that would really help me out. Now let's go ahead and jump in and see what this movie is all about. Alright, so right away we start out at what looks to be a barrel racing competition, and she's riding with some sort of roweled spur and spurring the horse quite a bit. So I have already turned off of this movie and we're less than a minute in. I don't care for all of the spurring. I don't necessarily have anything against spurs. A lot of people say, oh, Stephanie hates spurs, Stephanie doesn't let anyone ride with spurs. It's not really true. I don't hate spurs, but I do think if you're going to use them, you need to use them correctly, and the majority of people do not use them correctly. So this is an example where, I mean, I'm already wincing for the poor horse. I just think she's overly spurring it for no reason. Hopefully this movie isn't as tragic as it's seeming like it's going to be. We're at some sort of barrel racing competition, watching all of these barrel racers go. I'm not sure what the point of this movie is, so it'll be interesting to see how this relates to everything else. Oh, I love the coloring of that horse. Oh my god, it's so pretty. I love Bugskins. That is just gorgeous. Horse super good about loading on the trailer. Was really respectful, did have to kind of leap up to it. It was quite a big step up, but that horse was really fantastic for it. So good for him. So at least this whole movie isn't poor horsemanship, and I'm not convinced that rider we started out with that was spurring the horse excessively is even like a continual character in this movie. That might have just been a random person barrel racing. So maybe I was quick to judge. Maybe the horsemanship really isn't going to be terrible in this movie. Crossing my fingers, we're going to see some lovely horse rider interactions. I would never hitch up my truck and trailer without putting my electrical connection in at the same time as hitching, just for fear of forgetting it. It might be something somebody does frequently, but I would want to either be completely unhitched or completely hitched. Just for, like, what if you drive off without your electrical connection? That's your brakes, your lights, I mean everything. To each their own. I'm sure people do that all the time. Oh god, so it looks like they just got into a wreck with the horse and trailer. Literally my greatest nightmare. I see so many horrific things on social media. People share accidents on Facebook and are like, be careful, don't jump in front of trucks and trailers and whatnot. Really a scary thing. I pray to God it never happens to me, and I hope that everyone is always safe when hauling. Obviously getting in a wreck is bad for you as a person anyway, but for the poor horse, I mean, that could be the end of them. When you love horses and want to do it professionally, there is nothing anyone can say to sway you from that decision. Growing up, I always wanted to be a professional in the horse world. I went through several things I wanted to do. I wanted to be a jockey, and then I wanted to be a racehorse trainer, and then I fell in love with jumping and was like, well, I'll just be a professional rider. And then I got started on this kind of working with problem horses path, and I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. But nothing anyone said ever convinced me it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was really a futile argument to be like, you should do something else that's stable, brings in good money, blah, blah, blah. If your heart is set on being a professional in the horse world, you're not doing it for the money, and you know you're not going to make a ton of money doing it. It's just because it's the only thing you can imagine doing and you love it more than anything. That being said, like, go to college, get a good career, and you can enjoy horses for a hobby. It's probably the better way to go, honestly. Like, I have not been able to do so many things I really wanted to do because I decided to work with horses professionally, and there is no money in it. Even at the top levels, I mean, success is really hard to come by, and financial stability is really tough in this industry. So I get why everyone told me not to do it. I get why I think this is her aunt, is telling her not to do it, but if it's what she wants, it's what she's gonna do. So she's just gonna have to live with this girl doing that. Alright, so she's pulled over because this horse looks like it's outside of the field. I don't know if this horse escaped from the field or got loose some other way, but definitely something a lot of horse people would do. I mean, nobody is going to leave their horse right outside a fence on their driveway that leads right down to an open highway. Certainly some people let their horse be loose on their property, but with some sort of like closed gate, or at least distance from the property entrance, so the horse isn't going to like wander outside the gate and get on the highway. So I assume she's going to try to catch this horse and put it back in its field, or contact the owners in some way, which is a good Samaritan act. This horse is wearing a halter, which is interesting, so it makes you wonder if it like broke away from its high versus getting out of a field. Most people don't turn out with halters, so I'd be more inclined to think this horse escaped some other way, not that it got out of the actual field. Not hard to catch at all. She brought a bucket, I assume with food on it, but really didn't need it. He was super easy to grab. Alright, so looks like this horse gets out on a somewhat regular basis because they weren't surprised at all that the horse was out. And maybe they turn him out with a halter because he gets out frequently. Certainly something I would consider doing. If I have a horse that escapes all the time, probably better to leave a halter on him to make him easier to catch, especially if you don't know where he's going to end up because he's getting out of the gate all the time. 90,000. Alright, no wonder I liked how he looked. I mean, we all know I have expensive tastes in horses. That is an expensive horse, man. This mountain is just absolutely gorgeous. I would love having that view. She's having flashbacks of watching the rodeo with her mom, and clearly barrel racing is her passion, so I can see how now that she doesn't have any horses of her own, she would just be reminiscing on this. It's tough for this girl because she didn't only lose her mom, which thankfully my mom is alive and well. I see her all the time. It would be just devastating. Devastating. I cannot imagine what it's like to lose your mother. But she also had to move in with her aunt and uncle who she doesn't really know. And she lost her connection with horses. She no longer has horses. She's not training. Her mom was competing on the circuit. I assume she was training as well, or at least riding regularly and practicing barrels. If not, honestly, she was probably competing as well. So she's lost her sport, her mom, her entire identity. And that would be a very tough thing. I see why she wants to just sit in the field and mourn the loss of everything that made her who she was. I think I've literally picked the saddest movie to watch. How I always end up with such sad movies. Alright, so her uncle's taken her to watch the rodeo. I'm glad that he understands her just passion for rodeo and what a big part of her identity rodeo is. Being able to go back to the rodeo and connect a little bit with that side of her, I think will really help with her grief and just help her move forward after the loss of her mom. You don't want to have to lose everything in your life at once. At least let it just be her mom that she lost. Let her still connect with rodeo and be part of that life, because that was clearly such a big part of her life. So bronc riding, you know, it's something I have kind of mixed feelings about. I understand that these horses are bred and trained to buck. I also think that there's probably a lot of pain involved in bronc horses, and I don't want to start a debate here. I'm not trying to be controversial. I know that most people take extremely good care of their bronc horses, and good bronc horses are worth a ton of money. But I do think pain makes a horse buck better, so it's a little bit hard to avoid discomfort and pain in this career path for a horse, because it is going to enhance their performance, versus most sports, pain is going to decrease their performance. And I'm not trying to say that other horse sports don't have their fair share of issues. I mean, the horse show jumping world is just horrendous. The amount of lameness, discomfort, anxiety. I mean, it's hard to watch some of these horses at jumping shows. Broncs, at least, they don't have anyone hanging on their mouth. Nobody's spurring them, whipping them. They're not abused in that way. Watching horses that are taught to buck people off doesn't give me a great feel-good feeling. It's pretty incredible to me that these horses are taught to rope, and that you can swing a rope, take off, get a cow, stop them. I could never multitask like that, and I can't imagine training a horse to do that job so reliably. Again, I don't have really much of any Western riding experience, so as I'm watching this movie, this is a world I've seen so little of. It impresses me because it's so different. I just don't know enough about it to be like, yeah, that's, you know, simple, something we do all the time. I'm like, wow, this is new and exciting, and how do they get the horse to perform this specific task? I obviously don't think it's way harder than like what I do, show jumping. It's just different, so that's cool to me. I would imagine that a similar level of training and skill goes into it as with most other horse sports. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the first part of this movie. It's truly heartbreaking. I don't know why I always end up watching such sad movies. I just started watching Heartland with you guys, where she also lost her mom, and now I'm watching this movie where her mom dies right in the beginning. Same thing in a car accident, so that's really sad. But anyway, I am enjoying this movie. It's really quite interesting seeing how it plays out, and it's not a plot line that you can really follow easily. I don't actually know what's going to happen or how it's going to end or really what the plot is. So that is really cool. I'm excited to keep watching it with you. If you guys could leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all later. Bye.